Today we're talking about the best weapon combinations for Sung Jinwoo in solo leveling Arise. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe because 80% of viewers are not subscribed, so they're missing out. And if you guys want free codes for the game, then all you have to do is go to the description or the pinned comment where I explain how to get that. So that being said, quick honorable mention, the Radaru's family bow, the West Wind, the Fire Avarice Orb. These weapons are really strong SR weapons that you can use, but I'm not really going to bring up much going forward. Now, typically what people do when they say is, let's just use Plumflower Sword with Moonshadow and call it a day. And that will work for you up to a point. Ultimately, when you start taking on the harder content, you are not going to be able to firstly clear it, but you're especially not going to, when you're taking on like content that determines how much points you have or a certain score, things like that, you're going to ultimately come back to needing to run two weapons, at least one, but namely two weapons that meet the criteria of elements. So if the enemy's weak to wind, you want to use double wind. That's just, it kind of ends up being that. But both of these weapons are strong together, Plum and Moon, but they're also good secondary weapons because they both have supporting properties. Mostly the Plum Sword though, because it can give critical damage, which you really want, and mostly every weapon in the game can benefit from. Now, I do think Stormbringer and Demon King daggers is probably the strongest combination in the game right now. Pure damage right there. I don't think you can go wrong with that. However, I think mostly every element aside from water has a strong duo as well. Now, the fire combination, extremely strong. Phoenix Soul alongside the fan. Obviously, you want to use these two together. Extreme utility, especially when using the fan properly. You have to use the fan very, very correctly, and also the bow as well. You need to be using the core attacks, all that stuff. Quarterstaff with Foxtail is extremely strong too. Quarterstaff is one of the hardest hitting weapons in the game. However, I think Quarterstaff and mostly any of the DPS related weapons can pair very well with the Plum Sword, again, like I was bringing up earlier. Now, outside of that, you don't really need to worry too much about mostly any other weapon. The thing is, I do think there's probably going to be a new Sung weapon for Water Element during the anniversary because the weapons are mostly subpar. I think Thetis is great as a sub weapon. You need to replace Scatty on this team, so I would think that's going to happen. Demon King Longsword is very strong. However, most of these weapons need 3 to 5 limit breaks in them, but I've considered this video with everything being equal, fully all the abilities unlocked. This is a good one, but the thing is that I do think you should just use, if you've got the daggers anyway, you need the daggers, they're a must. I think you should use Plum Sword instead if you don't have Stormbringer. And for Dark, you can also say the same thing about Zeke's Fragment. That would pair very nicely with Plum if you wanted to do that. But again, you should be trying to pair Moonshadow most likely as well, as that's easier to accomplish. Let me know your comments and all your thoughts down below. Remember, free codes your way.